Morning, everyone. I wish I didn't have to stand here and talk about this case. So I'm going to make a few comments. We're going to call Captain Lee. He led the investigation, and then we'll have a comment from somebody I think you'll find very interesting. So, what a senseless, violent act, the murder of two young teenagers while out camping. Then comes the parents' worst nightmare, knock on the door by a sheriff's detective to tell them that their child is dead. I really want to talk about the detectives that worked this case. It's been a very difficult case to work. It happened in such a remote area. They couldn't rely on Ring cameras. They couldn't rely on pings from cell phones. And they couldn't rely on any other video that normally we would have in an urban area. So it made it very difficult and a technical investigation. And that's why it's taken this long to get this far. But I can tell you the detectives for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office are some of the most dedicated law enforcement officers I've seen in my 40-plus year career. They worked hard. They worked days on end without going home to their own families, to their own children, to try and do the best they can to come to a conclusion with this case. And don't ever forget the emotional toll that it also takes on those detectives, almost as much as the family members themselves. So with that, I'd like to bring up Captain Lee, who led this case and led the detectives to the conclusion that we came to yesterday. So thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. My name is Captain Lee of the Major Crimes Division. This is where our homicide unit resides. Today we're here to share some publicly releasable information regarding the murder of Pandora Scholzrud and Evan Clark in May of this year. I'd be remiss if I didn't first share my own condolences with Evan and Pandora's family and friends. I can't find the words to express how sorry we are for what they've gone through and for the continuing victimization that a crime like this causes. Those families want answers, and due to the litigious society that we live in, we have to be careful with the details that we share early on in cases like this. I know that this is frustrating to these families in grief, but we can't rewind the hands of time and give them what they really want back, which is what they've lost. All we can do is fight for justice for Pandora and Evan, and we remain dedicated to this cause. I'm going to give you some background about the case. On May 26th, the Gila County Sheriff's Office received a call for service about an overdue party located in the Mount Ord area. Mount Ord is a popular camping location and a mountain in the Tonto National Forest. It's off State Route 87, somewhere between Mesa and Payson. The complainant advised GCSO that her daughter was out camping with friends, and her last known location was on Mount Ord. The complainant also provided pictures for us of her daughter's camping trip, which she had received around May 25th. When the GCSO sergeant arrived in that area, he located a vehicle later identified as belonging to Evan Clark parked off of the road. The sergeant tried to make contact with any occupants there, but was unable to, and he made some suspicious observations regarding that car. The sergeant requested some backup, and a deputy arrived later to assist him on scene. GCSO deputies did not find anyone around the vehicle and later continued their search until they found a campground up further on the mountain. In that campsite, they noticed conditions that suggested there was evidence of something being dragged away from that camp area. They would then locate the bodies of Pandora Scholzrud and Evan Clark, who were pronounced deceased on the scene. GCSO advised the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office Communications Center that they were out with a vehicle and had located two deceased individuals within our jurisdiction. In the early hours of May 27th, MCSO deputies, along with the homicide detectives, responded to Mount Ord to assist those GCSO deputies. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office established jurisdiction in this matter based upon the location of this incident, and the reason for that is that the county line between Maricopa County and Gila County runs right through Mount Ord. Detectives spoke to the parents of both victims, who disclosed that the victims had left their residence in the in the morning of May 25th. The detectives learned that the victims were planning on camping at Mount Ord for the day and returning later on the 26th. The detectives processed multiple scenes and found many potential items of evidence and of value to us. Detectives received various tips regarding this incident over the next several days and weeks, and one of those tips revealed that there was a male subject identified as Thomas Brown who advised he had been camping on Mount Ord on that particular day. Detectives also received a tip from another group of campers who they say was camping on Mount Ord the evening of the 25th and left on the morning of the 26th. That tip indicated that the campers, while they were there, encountered an individual that they perceived as acting very strangely. The tip from those campers detailed some very specific observations that caused our detectives to heighten our focus and focus our investigative efforts into Thomas Brown's involvement, in addition to continuing to follow all the other leads that we had. During an interview with those same tipsters, they remembered parts of their outing and delineated specific facts that resolved some of the questions surrounding the location and position of evidence gathered at the crime scene. Some of this information corroborated evidence pointing to Brown's involvement in Evan and Pandora's murder. During an interview with Thomas Brown, he told detectives that he had been camping on Mount Ord from the 23rd of May to the 26th, and he had been with his wife. According to Thomas, his wife left the morning of the 25th, and he stayed behind until the morning of the 26th. He mentioned that he flew a drone around the mountain, and that was one of the reasons that we had contacted him. And he mentioned also that he had encountered a younger male and female who were in a vehicle that he described as matching Evan's car. It should be noted that Brown's descriptions regarding the victims and the victim's vehicle were consistent with those persons and those vehicles. During Brown's interview, he was asked about his travels on the mountain, and he specifically about his interactions with some of our evidentiary items. Throughout the course of the investigation, multiple DNA swabs were taken and obtained from various sources and sent out for testing, and we interviewed quite a few people. Throughout the course of the investigation, based on that evidence collected, Thomas Brown provided false and misleading information regarding his involvement. It was the comparison of his statements and that physical evidence that led us to believe that. He was apprehended and booked into MCSO jail yesterday for 2 counts of first-degree murder. I want to thank all those involved in helping bring this case to the point where it is right now. Responding GCSO deputies helped us in preserving that scene. We only get one shot at that. Lake Patrol deputies and MCSO deputies, as well as all the detectives that we had respond, the evidence technicians, the lab personnel that have worked on this case, the computer forensic experts that we still have working. Our partnership with the FBI was extremely helpful during this. Our tactical folks that helped us with other aspects of this were also extremely helpful. All those supporting personnel who worked tirelessly, hand in hand, in this fight for justice for Evan and Pandora and their families and friends. These detectives and the other personnel have made quite an investigative feat. Outdoor scenes, as the sheriff said, are challenging. They present various difficulties, and you can only speculate as to what those can be. I want to thank the sheriff for his support of our homicide unit during this investigation, which, as you can imagine, has been mentally, physically, and emotionally taxing. These detectives work call-outs that last for days on end, and they stay at work chasing leads until there's nothing more that can be done. I'm proud of their efforts and for their unwavering dedication to see this case through. With each break in the case, the only thing I could do is be grateful for the professional and ethical manner in which this case has been investigated and processed. Homicide investigations take time. I want to thank Pandora and Evan's families and friends for helping us and for being patient and giving us the space and time that we needed to work. We can't share certain information along the way. Sometimes that information can jeopardize the investigation, and sharing it can really mess with the end goal of these. As I've said before, some of the details are only known to us and the suspect, and that helps us verify that we have the right person as the focus of our investigation. The ultimate goal of this process is to prevent further violence and danger to the community, identify the correct suspect, put together a complete investigation, and not only arrest but ensure the successful prosecution of this case. The product that we lay on the altar of justice, which hopefully allows us to bring a sliver of peace and closure to family and friends of Pandora and Evan, is all we can do. I've been purposely vague on some details, and although we've made an arrest, we're still pre-indictment. I need to respect the hard work of our detectives by not negating all their work by sharing too much too early. And I need to respect the privacy of Evan and Pandora's families. Their loss has been in the public eye, and they deserve dignity, peace, and respect. And they deserve that more than the public needs to have their curiosity satisfied. At this time, I ask the public to give them space and respect as you would want if you found yourself in their unfortunate place. This investigation is still ongoing, and I have to remind everyone that these are allegations at this point, and Thomas Brown is considered innocent until proven guilty. Due to what I've just shared, I'll not be answering any questions regarding the specifics on evidence or witness testimony. But at this time, we do not have any information to suggest that there was any evidence of any connection between Evan Clark, Pandora Scholzrud, and Thomas Brown. We're unaware of any allegation that Evan and Pandora's action or conduct contributed to their deaths. At this time, the information we have suggested that Brown acted alone and that there was no further danger to the community from him. Murder is one of the most heinous crimes that can be brought on a person and their family. In a way, it's the ultimate theft. Someone is literally stealing away every earthly moment that a victim would have with their families and friends. Vacations, birthdays, anniversaries, phone calls, job experiences, musical performance, movie nights, games, comfort, hugs. In the case of these two young people, future spouses and families, grandchildren, children, they were about to begin their senior year of high school, and they would soon be finding their way in the world, and they had a lifetime of experiences to look forward to. Having said that, I'd like to introduce you to someone that I've gotten to know well during this investigative process. This is Simone Scholzrud. She is Pandora's mother. We're going to turn the time over to her.
Thank you. And thank you for everything you've done for me over the past few months. My daughter, Pandora, was a beautiful, brilliant light in this world. She was so full of life and joy and love. She was the type of person you never forget after meeting her. She was always up for an adventure, and she lived every day to the fullest. Everyone who spent time with her walked away feeling her love and joy. Her joyful spirit was contagious. She had a genuine curiosity and interest in every single person she ever met. She was the kid at school who befriended every teacher and every security guard and everyone she met. She was the kid that was waving and smiling at everybody and left people feeling good. She has a big family and a lot of friends. She is so loved by so many people. We are all devastated, and we miss her every day. All of life's beauty feels less bright without her here. But the light and love and beauty she gave us will be in our hearts forever. And the darkness that she encountered on that day when she met her killer will not define her life. His darkness will never overcome her light. Over the past 4 months, I have prayed every day that her killer would eventually be brought to justice. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and all the homicide detectives and the FBI and all of the agencies who've contributed to this meticulous and thorough investigation. I will forever be grateful for their tireless efforts to bring justice for my daughter. She deserves justice. The homicide detectives have done an excellent job to identify the perpetrator and build the evidence necessary for an arrest. I have full faith in our judicial system to evaluate the evidence in this double homicide and find the perpetrator guilty of the violent murders he committed against 2 innocent teenagers. My daughter's life matters, and I look forward to the day the perpetrator is convicted and punished for his crimes. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. That really helps to bring the reason for what we do into focus here and give some perspective to everything else that's going on. At this time, we're going to take a few questions for just a few minutes. As I said earlier, I really don't want to take any specific questions regarding items of evidence that have already been mentioned. But with that,
Captain, are you aware of social media postings by the person you have in custody just days after the alleged offense date on his own personal Facebook page? Have you guys reviewed those? Are you aware of what they state?
we're aware of social media posts, yeah.
Is there anything you could say about the weapon?
All I can say is that they were both shot multiple times.
We know that he had some background working with 3D guns. Can you give any more clarification as to whether that had anything to do with the weapon?
We cannot. That would be too specific at this time.
Could you speak to maybe difficulty in a case if a 3D gun was used, just the challenge with forensics and when it comes to ballistics?
So, generally speaking, 3D printed weapons, it's not something that functions the way a weapon that one of us carries at work, where it's repeatable, it's reliable, it continues to work. It's usually something that's got just a couple shots in it, and it's not really capable of continuing to fire, reloading quickly, things like that. And that's just generally speaking. As far as the weapon, I can't speak to whether or not that is what was used.
And like you mentioned, Thomas Brown had posted about drone video, and it originally was saying that he was helping law enforcement. Did he ever give over that drone video?
We did obtain items of evidence related to the reason he came forward.
And he admitted to having an interaction with the two teens. He
sure did.
Okay. And can you speak to just, you mentioned it when you were speaking, that there was no relation, they didn't know each other, this was not a meetup, is that correct?
We have no evidence to suggest that there was any meetup or there was any pre-relationship or that there was any way that they were associated beforehand, that there had been any communication. They were, as far as we know, complete strangers.
This is a random attack. You mentioned his wife was with him prior. Is there any kind of indication that she may have known of what took place after she left?
We can't answer that question.
You described this as senseless, and she was just asking, is this random? Is there any kind of motivation that you've been able to determine?
For us to speculate as far as the motive right now would not be helpful for the case.
When Brown was taken into custody, MCSO had posted a video where he was taken into custody. It seems like his pants were maybe dirty or something of the sorts. Can you speak to when he was arrested, and did he resist arrest or anything like that?
And where was he arrested to? The court documents say it was Durango Street. Did he turn himself in, or what did you guys go find him?
We had to go arrest him.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was, I don't know why it would list the location as Durango Street. That would be, yeah, probably the location of the jail, I'm imagining.
Correct,
Yeah,
that's what I
but
was
he did not. He did not self-surrender. So,
Where
as
was
far
he
as the dirt
surrend-
on his pants, I can only speculate that that was picked up somewhere along his day.
Was he arrested at his home?
He was arrested near his home,
Did he resist?
as far as I'm aware.
Is there any indication that he might be connected to any additional crimes?
We do not have any information to suggest that he's connected to other crimes.
Are you guys looking into his work in terms of 3D printed guns?
We're looking into everything. Yeah.
One more question?
Anything that's come out about Brown's mental state, there's been some, things circulating that he was maybe seeing someone.
That would be something that I can't disclose. Sorry.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.